Good morning. Welcome, I think, to the first breakout session today. My name is Rami Madani. I'm the Director of Learning at ISKL, the International School of Kuala Lumpur. And it's really a pleasure to see you here. A little bit about myself before I start. I work with learning, as my title indicates. My day is usually, some of it is in classrooms, some of it is talking with teachers, some of it is meeting with teams. And some of the things that really touch me deeply is the ongoing reflection of what learning means. We all talk about learning, but what does it really mean? I noticed that over time, my understanding of it deepens. And hence, the ongoing questions of are our systems, processes, protocols, what we think, say, and do, are those all aligned to how the definition of learning is evolving in my brain? So this is something to keep in mind as, you know, to share with you. This is the lens I use as I work, as I think, and maybe you will notice it also in our work today. We are a bit crowded, so if we need the fans, you let me know. Or actually, the switches are over there. Someone, if you feel like we need them, we can operate them. I'm a bit surprised there is some video filming happening today and they want to embarrass me, so apologies if something happens. Also, I downloaded everything here, but if the Wi-Fi doesn't work, there's a plan B. So if you see me fiddling with some things, we have had issues with Wi-Fi here, so just beg for your patience here. And there will be some time for us to talk together. And when I put up my hand, it indicates, please, if you could finish what you're saying, and let's continue as a group. I also have this wonderful little device here. I can play on it and put my hand up just to indicate that we are starting. So, some of the things we were considering as we have in my school developed our orientation program is really thinking about adult learning. To what extent is it similar? To what extent is it different from student learning? And a lot of the principles are, you know, the same. We promote differentiation. So is the way we train teachers, is it differentiated? We accept that people need different times, they learn in different ways. Is the method that we are adopting in our school supporting that? So this is the driver behind revamping our work, and it's been like that for the past maybe 5 years. We have used the method that I'm sharing with you, and it brought amazing benefits and great feedback to our faculty. So, okay. You see, that's the first thing. That was working, now it stopped working because I think the Wi-Fi. This is a Google presentation. So I'm going to exit it. And plan B. Now it's a PowerPoint presentation. Okay. So the idea is, how do we ensure that the mission, vision, and practices of our school are sustained and advanced over time? And if I think clearly, it's actually no longer a matter of just new teachers. It's really about all our teachers. Very often, when the new teachers come to your school, you talk about how your school is about, what is it about, how does it feel and look. But then they go from you to interact with teachers, and they sometimes may notice a disconnect between what we wish to have and what the reality is. So one lens is really to see the work as it's for everyone. The agenda for today will focus on why. Why do we do orientation? What's the purpose for that? Then what? What do we want people to know and be able to do? What do we want teachers, new faculty, or all faculty to know and be able to do? And the third is, how do we do that? What process do we follow that is differentiated and sustainable? And the last one is, how do we evaluate it? How do we know to what extent is this method working? So in a nutshell, these 4 actually steps, you will notice that at the bottom corner of each slide, just to guide you through that thinking, The why, the what, how, and the evaluation will be at the bottom of the slide. So for us, it was important to clarify the purpose. Why do we do the orientation for new faculty? We have three purposes for that. The first one is to clarify ISKL's values, beliefs, and practices. And it's important to tell teachers that. Very often they say, you hired us because we believed we are very good, or we are the best out there. Why do you train us? What's the point? So that clarifies, well, you're new to ISKL or to your school. We want you to know who we are as a school, what do we believe in, and how do we practice. The second purpose is to support teachers in improving learning for all students, because as we know, teachers are at different readiness level. They're never equal. And the third one is to ensure that this is no longer just a new faculty. All ISKL teachers work in alignment with the strategic plan. Yes, you want fresh ideas. Yes, you want to allow autonomy, and there is absolutely wonderful space for it. But at the same time, we need to protect who we are, our practices, to make sure that we are all heading in the same direction as a school. Some questions that I would like to share with you and give you some time maybe to reflect on and talk to your neighbor. What do we want our faculty to know and be able to do? How do we decide? Who decides that? Think about your school. To what extent is there clarity behind when new teachers come, what do you want them to know and be able to do? Is the what linked to the mission, vision, and goals? Does the what clearly distinguish between the nuts and bolts and the educational competencies? As we know, the nuts and bolts operate at a knowledge level. You need to know something, but the educational competencies are at a skill level. They need to be approached differently, and they take more time to acquire. Does the what you want a new faculty to learn and be able to do, does it cater for different job profiles, like counselors, admissions people, teachers, and for faculty from different divisions, middle school, early childhood, high school? And then is that what we want them to know and be able to do, shared knowledge among the school's teachers and leadership team in terms of clarity, consistency between all stakeholders in the way they use it and operate it? I would like to give you a couple of minutes, just talk to your neighbor or talk in smaller groups about these questions. How do these questions, how are they addressed in your school? Take a couple of minutes. The timer will not work now because I'm no longer using Google. But I will ring a bell and let you know. There or there, up to you. Wonderful. It's working really well with the technology. Great. What I'm going to share with you is what we do. So this part is really about what a school is using as an example approach. And also, the method that I'm going to share with you is really scalable. In Malaysia, those who live in Malaysia, they know there are tax rules that require people to stay, or at least our teachers at ISKL, 180 days in a school year for tax reasons. So when we ask teachers to come, new teachers, they don't mind coming a bit in advance for their tax issues. So what we have, the model I'm sharing with you, we have 8 days with the new teachers before everyone else comes back. And I know that this is not something that other schools do, but I shared with you it works well because of tax issues. They have to be here, so that's we do it. I actually think this is a valuable information to share with the group. I will mention numbers, and please put up your hand if your school has that amount of days with the new faculty. How many, put up your hand if your school has 1 day only with the new teachers before all teachers join. Just 1 day. Okay. Put up your hand if you have no day at all for new teachers. They come with, all right. If you have 2 days with the new faculty, put up your hand. This is just for all of us to get some ideas about. And I know you need to see it in context because it depends on the size of the school and so many other factors. Tara?
Clarifying question. Rami, do you mean like when the teachers are to report to campus, or like when we require them to be in country so they can find housing?
The first. When do you want them to be with you so that you can structure the work with them? How many of you have 3 days with the new teachers before? How many do they have 4 days with the new teacher before the remaining teachers come back? 5 days? 6? 7? Oh, 8? Okay, we're not alone. 9? 10? More than 10? Okay, so it gives us some idea about how schools manage that. So to answer the questions that I had earlier on the slide, the what, how do we know what to address with the new teachers? We have developed what we call ISKL's knowledge base. It's a collaborative approach that involved the administrators a couple years ago actually, but we keep revamping it every year. This is a list of educational competencies that you see on the top that we want all teachers to know and be able to do. It's classified by stakeholder. So here this column is for administrators, this one for high school teachers, this is for middle school, and this is for elementary school. And underneath it here is the nuts and bolts. What I might do, I might exit this because the view is not ideal and show it to you maybe live. This is on a Google Doc that I opened earlier before that. It's a bit larger. So what you see in blue are the common competencies that we want administrators, teachers, regardless where they are, to know and be able to do. Examples, if you cannot read from a distance, we classified it by how do we operate, things to do with curriculum, instruction, and assessment. How do we operate is mission, vision, and school-wide learning results. We have learning principles, assessment principles, norms of collaboration, and then it goes into UBD, it goes into ESD, service learning, inclusion model that we follow, technology integration. So these are competencies. They operate at a skill level, and that's the way we should be addressing them with teachers. What you see in black are also educational competencies, but they vary according to the division. For example, we do expect all our leaders to be trained in adaptive schools, cognitive coaching. And if we hire a new leader, we say, great, you are wonderful, but not necessarily yet ready to work at ISKL without that training. And it makes that is so valuable because it's no longer a matter of one person's wish. And it's no longer personal at all. It's about an agreement to work at the school. And this has transformed the way we work because all our PD, all our initiatives, if they're not within these competencies, then we need to follow a process to say, how do we add something to the list? This is a massive list, as you see, but over time, teachers demonstrate mastery, most of teachers, to these competencies. So it takes time to reach that level. The danger is when initiatives happen, and how do you maintain the integrity? So there is another process for that. So this is something really recommended. I will give you, I don't think we need much time, but I will give you maybe a couple of minutes to talk to your neighbor. Where do you house your institutional knowledge? How do you communicate it to your faculty? Where is it? If someone asks you as a new teacher, what do I need to know and be able to do to join your school? Is there such place to host that information? And how do you communicate it? Take maybe 2 minutes, talk to an elbow partner.
Coaching for leadership at your school.
Yeah.
Who does
The training?
bring someone in?
Yeah, we bring someone in. And currently I'm becoming a trainer, on the path to becoming a trainer for adaptive schools, for cognitive coaching. And I'm not the only one, other people as well. So then it becomes easy for us to do it internally. But like Ocean comes every year twice to do that work at my school. And we're open to other schools as well.
This person based in KL?
Ocean Powell, she has a home in KL and a home in France and something in the States.
You want to give me that contact?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Teacher portal as well, where we take out school documents and put that into the new teacher on. So it's not overloading all of the key things. And when they arrive,
Thank you. So I will share with you where we house this information. This is a slide, just a picture, but I will exit and show you the actual site. We have what we call the teaching and learning site, and I see some familiar faces have seen it during the pre-conference a couple of days ago. And this is where we put the information so teachers can access it. In fact, the link to this information is sent almost upon hire to new faculty, the moment they're hired, there is a welcome letter that goes out with a link. There is zero expectation from us for them to open that site and to start studying about ISKL's competencies. We have no expectations, but that's step number one towards differentiation. Every year we have some people tend to be, computer curious about technology and online learning and virtual learning. They use it. There are videos, there are tutorials, there is a wealth of information about our knowledge base on that master site. And I can show you some examples in a bit. So some people take advantage of it. So they come to the school, they have done 70-80% of the work before they arrive. And some, they prefer this face-to-face. And we do that as well. And then we have like baby sites. For each division, they're linked to that master one, but every division is slightly different. They have different priorities, different information that are specific to them. So we do have that as well. Although from my experience, we're still considering, is that worthwhile to have these individual 3, or should they all be underneath that one? If your school uses Google, it might resonate with you. We have a policy no more than 3 clicks to get to any information you need. Nothing should be hidden in a way that you cannot find it. So what we did with the site is that we organized it. For example, this is the site live. Well, I'm sure I shouldn't have said live because I'm sure nothing functions now, but I opened it earlier. This is the site, and the knowledge base I showed you earlier, it's here. This is the knowledge base. If you click on it, it opens the list. But also, all this here is classified identically with our knowledge base. How do we operate curriculum, instruction, and assessment? Later, I will go in it and show you the details of how people can find information. So when we hire teachers, Good. So when we hire teachers, we create a survey. That survey is sent to them. These questions are based on ISKL's knowledge base. They're based on one-to-one. There is a one-to-one correlation between the educational competencies that we have at school and the questions that we ask. Examples of these questions, for example, norms of collaboration. There is an overarching question that you don't see in this shortcut. They rank themselves from no experience to number 4, be able to teach others. Number 4 is quite ambitious. The ability not only to use it, but to teach others. That helps us get some perceptual, at least, data. The survey is linked to the definitions of these because sometimes you say differentiation and they may not quite know. We're explicitly using Carl and Tomlinson's framework for differentiation. So there is a way for them to find out what do we mean with the terminology. And then we get their feedback. We give them a month, sometimes 6 weeks to respond to this survey. And when we get their feedback, Google helps us summarizing it. You can get all the data, and we ask anecdotal comments to identify areas of need, if you like. And then,
do you do them anonymously or no?
No, we need names. We need names. And that's a good question, Tara. The purpose is not to evaluate teachers, and we need to be very explicit about that. So thank you for that question. We are very explicit saying, hey, we are the teaching and learning team. We are here to help you and to support you in your transition and beyond. So to help us cater for your needs, to help us differentiate, we would like you to respond to this survey. So we get the results, and you get the graphs as well. That tells us what sort of sessions are needed. The turnover rate varies from school to school. At ISKL tends to be around 11-12% on average of turnover. With a large faculty, we have 215 teachers. So we have always like 25 to 30 teachers to train at the beginning of every year. Some schools have more, some have less. And of course, the size of that cohort impacts how you organize the schedule. So we get that information in advance, and this helps us plan. And the way we plan, there is a timeline we follow. So certain things upon hiring we do, and this part here, the 8 days we have with the new teachers alone. After that, all teachers, returning teachers, and then the school starts here, and the ongoing support. So if I talk briefly about that, with the orientation we have 8 days, and with all faculty we have 5 days of in-service. This is not a magic formula, every school is different, but this is the example that we're using. At the beginning of the time, the principals, myself, the head of school, obviously, we arrive, the latest arrival date for us is with the new faculty, the date of arrival. The assistant principal and principals and the director of technology arrive towards the end of that phase, the last couple of days. Upon hiring, we send HR communication regarding contracts, regarding logistics, and we send online access to our teaching and learning site. We explicitly tell them, you guys are still working full-time for another school, so we don't expect you to give us your attention. However, if you're interested, here you go. And then the third component is the buddy system. So we pair them. They will ask about, can I bring my cat? Can I play tennis in KL? How about golf? They have so many questions, and it's good to start this buddy system in advance. We also have a site for the new faculty. I'm worried if I try to open it now, it may not work, so I will skip it. During these 8 days, the focus, and I will unpack it further, this is again the big picture view. We focus on HR, housing, banking, logistics that happened during that time. And we have a course that we call ISKL Essentials. And this is what I'm going to go into more depth with that. This is the training that is based on the feedback to the survey we sent to the new teachers. And then there is time with principals and time for them to spend in classroom, a lot of it. In fact, they always appreciate the time in classroom. When we have all faculty at school, we have meetings by division, team time, individual time in classroom. There is a lot of freedom. And there is, when the school starts, we know, and then ongoing support that is usually in classroom. It could be coaching, it could be peer observations, mini observations if they want to. We do looking for learning as well. We also support in teams during team meetings, and we support them during non-teaching time or after school or during lunch. So it may sound overwhelming, but actually we try to do a lot of offerings, and we leave it often up to them to decide how much they can digest. But if there is, we operate based on goodwill. We operate based on everyone is here keen to learn and to do her or his best, unless we have any evidence to the contrary to that. And honestly, because it's an open door culture at the school, we're always in classrooms outside. It doesn't take a lot of time to identify if anyone needs more support. Some of the questions that I would like you actually maybe would like us to discuss. Let's see. What is the approach you follow? Who delivers the orientation schedule? What's the timeline that you follow? To what extent is your program differentiated based on the needs of faculty? To what extent does it model good teaching practices? To what extent is it sustainable? Now, to sustainability, one of the challenges, as you know, beginning of the year is so busy for leaders. You're busy starting the whole school, busy meeting parents, busy with so much. At the same time, you have a new faculty to help. So how do you plan for that? How do you plan so you are not really overwhelmed? Maybe take a couple of minutes, ignore these 6 minutes. I think we are larger than I anticipated today. So maybe reflect a little bit about what I said, and if any of these questions resonate with you, please talk to your neighbor about that. Take maybe 2-3 minutes. You're all right?
I'm sorry for being late.
No worries at all.
Which is not, what I wanted, so I can.
Yeah, that's fine.
Move the chair.
You do whatever you need, definitely, whatever you need. In fact, if you want also there or the chair here, make it comfortable. Yeah.
Similar, but we have them for almost 2 weeks, right? And so the feedback that we get, we revamp every year. We do a little bit of culture, we do a little bit of housing, we do a little bit of school stuff, banking, we do a little bit of time in your classroom, but it's a long time.
2 weeks is a long time.
It is.
Well, we have buddies sort of paired up before. Because some people I'm in Montclair, so I'll just say yeah, we have buddies before. Some of these families that have come in June, they've already had their house and everything. They've already been on to Langkawi, a vacation and back. They have everything sorted out. So we don't have a lot of people who still need housing, that sort of thing. So I was saying that your longer period includes housing and banking and that sort of thing, whereas we have a much shorter period, but that's sort of just school for the new people.
Yeah.
So there's different. So they get that, but they get it.
Yeah.
And also when all staff comes back, then sometimes, say, somebody wants to.
Sorry. Thanks. So what a typical day now for us, if I move to ISKL, the new orientation, which we call ISKL Essentials, a typical day looks like this. We have a new faculty for 2 hours in the morning for what we call like a common message. And from the knowledge base on the, if you notice at the top was how do we operate, mission, vision, ESLers, norms of collaboration, you know, the things that are non-negotiable, the things that make us who we are, our culture. This is what we want everyone to be available for that. And we try to model good teaching. So a lot of differentiation, a lot of activities are happening. And then we offer multiple breakout sessions. In fact, 3 breakout sessions. Each breakout session 1 hour. We played different years. We did 2 hours, we did an hour and a half. 1 hour seemed to be working best for the new teachers. And then at the end of the day, we bring them back for half an hour to debrief, to wrap up, and then to allow them to share exit survey with us. How was the day? What else is needed for the future? And we try to adjust. And that's something, a model like that could be multiple days. It depends on, is it a day for you? Is it 5 days for you? As much as, is needed. So what I would like to show you is how does that look in reality. So if you remember, I shared with you earlier, I showed you the survey questions and the feedback. Now, my team and I, we placed them in areas based on the feedback they shared with us. So now, here you go. If you know someone, you may see names, but not the full names. So this is like round 1, and there are here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different breakout sessions that are happening during that time. We place them, we create a schedule based on their needs. Session 2, session 3, and then this is 1 day, and then the next day is similar. We put them based on their identified needs. Now, as you know, this is a not scientific measure. We didn't give them a test to know how much they know about a certain competency. But a combination between the self-assessment they do based on the clear results that we share with them, but also when they arrive, we talk to them, we interact with them. If they believe or we believe they are not put in the right spot, we change it. In fact, it works really well to allow them to change it. Yes, Tara.
So this is with new teachers, and I see these names. You mentioned that you and your principals come back for new teachers.
Yeah.
Are these your other principals? Who's delivering?
Okay. This is all planned at the end of the academic year for the following year. We don't go on holiday before planning that. I send an email out to my colleagues, teaching and learning team. Some, their background is in teaching and learning, and some technology, but teaching and learning. And some are teachers who live here, good teachers, master teachers. So it's always a combination of who is available, I'm here anyway, and 2 of my team members are here for that day for sure. And we pay the teachers. It's paid as a working day for them. So they do come. I plan in advance who is coming. So I know who's there. I know what we can offer. And we usually have 8 of us available, sometimes more, 9 of us. But it's 215 teachers. It's easy to find for us, easy to find some who are available at that time. And I understand that this may cause problem for some schools who would like to break her or his holiday 4 or 5 days ahead of the official time. Trying to appeal to their goodwill might work. We pay, and that's really embedded in the culture. I've never had a problem with it whatsoever, having people to help. Yes?
How long are the new hires in country before you begin this? Because that's the thing we wrestle with, the whole thing of getting them settled, getting all of that done.
Yeah. Thank you. Now, it will look silly. I'm trying to open something. For example, this is a document I sent out 3 months before the closure of the school. Who is able to be with us for ISKL Essentials? So teachers write their names if they are available and able to do it. That's an example. I'm just showing it because I've seen it. I don't want to dig for it again. Now, we mandate, for example, this Thursday is the latest arrival date for a new faculty. We need them to be here in the country. However, the reality, and I heard in Mont Chiara is the same, most of them arrive much earlier than that. So we don't put an early date, but we put a final arrival date for teachers. Most of them come, by this time they have their housing sorted, they have their banking sorted, cars sorted. And again, this is typical Malaysia due to the tax issues. Other schools are different. But say some arrive on the last final date, in advance we share with them agencies that do housing, and they are in constant contact with them, and also issues to do with finding a maid, finding a car. A lot of it is done online before they arrive. So we never had an issue. Usually within a couple of days they're all sorted, usually. There are some exceptions that someone didn't find a nice flat or a nice place to stay. They need longer time. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. I think it differs from country to country and system to system and how much time you need. Each big country. We have a limitation in Dubai that they cannot enter until their contract officially starts, and then there are certain things as soon as they enter the contract they have to do, and that eats into that first time.
Yeah. So, in other words, what I hear you say, you cannot really plan perfectly well for it because you cannot predict what might happen. Will you have them for the length of time that you anticipated? And that really, one way to approach it is this sharing in advance with them what they might study online. Yeah. Yes?
How many days do you do the 3 sessions breakout?
In recent years, just 2 days, and it's working very well. But as I said earlier, these are skills. No one can acquire a skill in 2 days or from a breakout session to a level that is so good enough. But it's really a combination. There is something I will share with you in a bit. A combination between these 2 startup days, but also individual support and in-classroom support when needed.
You mentioned kind of using master teachers, mentors, which is great. So how does somebody move in that? I know that you guys have a portfolio system for your teachers.
Yeah.
Is it self-reflection, or is that through it's a conversation with you or their administrator?
We don't, thank you. I feel slightly embarrassed here. We don't use the title master teachers, but we know them. Like we don't have entrance and exit criteria for a master, and I'm not saying schools shouldn't, but we don't. We use James Strong standards for excellence in teaching and learning, and our teachers use them, and that's part of the training that we do. It's to understand. These standards define good, high-quality teaching. Okay, now I may come across as I'm jumping here and there, and that is actually true, I am. Okay, maybe we spend a little bit time on this side to show you some examples of it. And let's see. Yeah, I'm worried about using the Wi-Fi. These are pages I opened earlier. We have what we call our learning principles, and they drive everything we do. We have a definition and learning. This is part of the training for new teachers to ensure that we have that common understanding. And these pages that they can open anytime they want to. Yeah, I will risk it and show you online. Like if I open, yeah, I'm opening things that everyone might know about, cognitive coaching. Oh, sorry, UBD, Understanding by Design. and I've just given up waiting, so I will hunt for it because, okay, here it is, because I opened it earlier. So on the top we have links that we use for our work with teachers. We try in general not to create PowerPoint presentations, but to use the information from the source, because it helps teachers find it and use it. And we have here what we expect our teachers to know and be able to do with UBD, Understanding by Design. Some videos. If the internet was working, I would have shown you some of the videos, but it's not. And then we have a way to self-evaluate for teachers. Like attending UBD doesn't mean that I'm good at it. It means I attended it. But a way to self-evaluate is this question: to what extent do I use UBD in my planning and teaching? And the MEET, we have developed criteria, I can read it. I employ the framework and principles of UBD in my planning and teaching to promote students' conceptual understanding and ability to transfer their knowledge. So that's a way for them to self-assess, and then when they self-assess, they rank themselves, and that helps us decide, do we need to do more training, who needs what. At the end of every day, there is a short survey. Where are your needs? Where are you now? And that really helps us take them further. And to differentiate also further than that, there is an extension, there is always a line. Underneath that line is an extension. If someone comes to ISKL and they know everything here, there is a chance for them to read more, watch more, respond to more, reflect on more, or talk to us also about their learning. Maybe I will change now to something different. Some of the ways that we also support learning, teachers' learning, is the PD. This bar here is the PD that is offered on-site or off-site. And we collect it and make it accessible to them. So it makes it clear to them if they want something to do with PD, this is the bar they use. If they want something to do with the teaching and learning and the competencies that we're doing ourselves, it's all here. And since we're on it, sorry, some of you were at the pre-conference and I shared this page. We have a philosophy statement for each discipline, but they have access. Say I'm a new teacher to ISKL. I know where my team is at even before joining the school in terms of their curriculum review. I know what standards they use. I have access to their units. Not only that, I can access their agendas. And maybe, let's see if that is the agenda. No, it's not. Okay. So the link that I wanted to click on would open something like that. Our agendas are considered, meetings are PD, considered important for our new teachers, for all of us. So we have a template that is used school-wide for all our meetings, and we call it a rolling agenda. So you have the latest agenda on the top. For example, this is a meeting that happened 10 days ago, and the team uses it. They share their agendas in advance with us. So that allows us, when I say us, the team, the teaching and learning team, the principals, to read the agenda in advance and to contribute if we have suggestions, ideas, resources, or if there is something that I'm wondering about. I'm not quite sure that this should be discussed in the meeting. That gives us a chance to support them before the meeting takes place. But back to our scope, as a new teacher, I have access to what my team has been working on because it's a rolling agenda. As I go back, that goes back in time. And I can see exactly what they were working on, what they have been using. And that's a valuable PD, valuable access to new teachers, especially if they come 8 days before they see the face of their team members, of their colleagues that they will work with. And the feedback is always very positive about that. If we go back, let's see. Sorry. When we offer PD at my school, we offer every year around 20, last year 22 events. These events can be and all our PD is aligned with ISKL's knowledge base. And that's something we need to police. Very often, people come with great ideas. Hey, we should do this. This is a great training for our teachers. And then you may lose identity. So we really try to be very mindful of how we introduce PD at school, because research shows best PD is job embedded, is collaborative, is instant, is immediate, it's responding to the needs. So when we bring someone to the school, there is a reason why we bring them there for our strategic plan and knowledge base. At the same time, a lot of it is open during a weekend. It's open globally in the region for people to come. And we offer discounted rates or free access to our teachers to these weekends. If the training is during school days, of course, that's given. The training that is weekends, we cannot mandate that teachers attend weekend workshops, but we can give them highly reduced or free access because external participants pay the cost. So this program is actually, we had as many as 450 people last year at the SENIA conference, and as few as actually now. I'm here, but we have mass Common Core training at ISKL with 12, 13 people. Our teachers access codes, and they don't share them with anyone else because then, if it's shared, then whoever uses that code can get free access. The way we do it is there is a website. This one is external. This website that we created, any one of you can access. And in fact, I send it on PTC quite often, or some events. And every event, I'm worried I click now, it doesn't open, so I opened something earlier. That's, for example, something we're hosting, an EARCOS weekend workshop we're hosting in November. So people, I send that link, can see information about the presenter, can see the resources, the handouts, and can sign up. The sign up, we outsourced it because one of the challenges that we all face is where is our time best spent? This system took took a lot of time to establish, but really easy to maintain. One of the things that we enjoy about Google is you decentralize it. If your teams, your teachers are familiar with it, you give selective editing rights to different people, and they create. For example, the wealth of knowledge base on the site I shared with you, I cannot claim that I created it by myself. It's not true. A lot of people worked with me on that one. A lot of people who have editing rights to the site work on it. And one of my observations with knowledge base, it can never be one person's initiative. It can never be, even if you are the head of school. It can never be sustained. It has to be collaborative. It has to be embedded in the culture of the school. It has to be visible. It has to be celebrated. It has to make sense to people as well. Any questions so far? Okay, I've talked too much and you seem to be quiet. 2 minutes, please talk to your neighbor, respond. What resonates with you? What might your takeaway be? What might work for you? What might not work for you? Yeah.
But that is brilliant. I think
It saves cost, really. Like the budget I use is not big to create 22 events, bringing the best consultants out there. It's a very, very small budget because outside people pay the cost.
yes, that's a wonderful idea.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
absolutely
Have you had to do a lot of work around negotiating contracts with your outside consultants for that?
We have a template for contracts, or we call it letter of agreement, and most consultants have their own as well. So it depends. Yeah. But honestly, like PD is becoming business nowadays, so you need to be careful with. Not all consultants are good.
yes.
Yeah.
I've noticed that.
Yeah.
Some were brilliant and some were not.
Thank you. I have a couple of minutes of more things to show you, but then we will open it to question and answer. So I haven't yet finished showing you the top bar. There are some things to help new teachers, and again in my first slide I said new needs to be under a big question mark because you want everyone to be involved in that. This is the link. Whenever there is something that's happening in the region that is relevant to our school, I don't know how they find you, but they find you. We receive so many emails about PD that happens, but someone needs to filter it. And the way I filter it, I find things that are relevant for our teachers, but also, I have no shame in saying that, if there is PD that clashes with something important happening at my school, I don't advertise that PD. Because what message am I sending, We want you here, but there's something great happening out there. So anyway, our teachers have access to that, and they can link, they can click and read more information about that. It takes time to establish processes, but honestly, not time to maintain it. If the process is efficient and intelligent and smart, maintaining something is easier than initiate it. So if new teachers or returning teachers, they want to go on PD, there is a form on that site, which is here, PD request form. They click on it and it guides them through certain questions. A lot of it, I'm not an expert in Google. There are a lot of it I do by myself, no problem. Creating pages, sites, no problem. But things complicated like PD forms that are intelligent, I cannot do it. So I ask my team to help. It's beyond my skill set. Because that form is so intelligent, the moment the person hits send, an email goes automatically to the right person for approval. After that person approves, click sends, the principal, you're busy. You receive an application, you don't need to worry about who to send it to. You just click send, it sends it to 3 different people, the different secretaries that they need to be informed about cover, etc. So our tech person did it. There is no way I can do it by myself. And that's the start of the form. It takes them through various pages, not much, but they need to justify the rationale, the reason, and then a small group of us make those decisions about that. The other thing I want to share with you, the online learning that we offer for our teachers. In addition to the online learning that they can access anytime, anywhere, in here that is embedded in our knowledge base, there are many great institutions that offer resources, reading materials. In some cases, if you take photos, just please be mindful. I don't have a problem with photos, but we have usernames and passwords that belong to our community. We pay for those. So you're welcome to take photos, but I have no problem, but I think Learning Forward may have a problem with that.
It's not clear from here anyway.
Yeah, so you see they're accessible. And if we think, like at the start of my role, you feel bombarded all of a sudden with requests and emails. So some of the questions I always have at the back of my mind: how can I make something less time-consuming, more approach it in a more systematic way, so that my time is more about learning rather than logistics, housekeeping. So to go back to the PowerPoint, after these are the days with only the new teachers. When the returning teachers come back, one of the models that works, we don't need to use it every day, but to have a whole faculty meeting in the morning. This is an example, middle school. And it's usually welcome, some engaging, fun, team building things, and reminder of the strategic plan and the goals for the middle school. But then they have time to meet in meetings, and then there is a way to check on the new faculty. It's usually really lunch with them, and sometimes it's mandatory, sometimes it's optional for several days, just to touch base, just to make sure that they're doing well, they're feeling good. Often a new faculty are cautious about showing their need for help because they don't want to give the wrong impression. So whatever we can do to encourage them to be vulnerable, to, we model it, we try to say we don't know everything, we're here to help each other out. So that helps. Another thing that we also do, we use the block scheduling. So for the couple of weeks at the beginning of the year, we have some optional sessions that happen during the teaching blocks, but every teacher has 1 or 2 non-teaching blocks at a given day. So if they are free and they need help, they can choose. We repeat the same sessions 4 times. And we use sometimes sign-ups. Sometimes we don't use sign-ups to know whether they're coming or not. After this ongoing support, we also have after-school sessions, lunch sessions, individual support, professional reading and research, online learning, workshops and conferences, team meetings. It's a huge list that we can share with our faculty.
What are unconferences?
Unconferences, we could do it here and say, you're all here. This is like twice the size I thought, or the room is planned for. We can't do this plan. So what needs might you have? Let's put some chart paper around the room, and you guys write what needs you have, and then we break down based on the needs of people.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Now really a question and answer session if you have any question. Please.
I'm curious to know that the ISKL has kind of internship
For teachers? We don't as such, but we are working with the Ministry of Education to do a teaching program for teachers in local schools. But the approach to that is radically different than here because the needs are different. Please.
So we find that people's transitional stress anxiety is something we have to be very aware of. I'd be interested in your comments or other people's comments on how to gauge the pulse before some crisis happens.
Yeah, and thank you. I will respond, but maybe there is wisdom in the room that people can share. Did you hear the question? The question is about how do we know when people are anxious or emotionally tired before it's too late. Is this roughly correct? Other than the surveys we ask, we believe in relationships and talking. There are, TGIFs and parties with them at the beginning and socializing. And they're working with 2 key teachers with us. These teachers are paid to come in advance And these teachers help them with shopping, take them to IKEA, take them to different places. So there is an unstructured way to find out if someone is not feeling well, but also the quality of interaction between the principals and the new teachers. They really constantly ask, how are you? How are your kids? We make an effort to memorize the names of their kids, where they are living, what issues they have, and talk about that. We try to make it as personal as possible. Other ideas and suggestions, or any other question? Please.
I have a question. I wonder if you have new teacher coming and start working with you during the school year, not when you finish the school year, but in the middle of the school year, and if that is the case of how you conduct the
Thank you. It happened last year. An emergency happened. A teacher stopped overnight, could not come for personal reasons. We had to replace that teacher immediately, and the replacement had to be in classroom as soon as possible. So there is a lot like fixing the plane in flying, and it's based on individual cases how you respond to it. But honestly, the fact that we have everything we want people to know and be able to do, and all the resources, you don't see it. It's key for us. We expect teachers to have lesson plans. We expect them to have all the information prepared and nicely laid out. The school owes its teachers the same, to know what the expectation is, what's the plan. So having that access to it is key. But then honestly, then you need to ask yourself, what's the priority? We need a teacher with the students now, and then plan backwards. What help can we do over time to that teacher whilst she or he is in classroom teaching? Other thoughts or ideas about these questions are welcome. I'm not always the most knowledgeable.
Picking up what he said about the stress of teachers. I've been to a few different schools myself.
Sorry, do you mind speak a bit louder?
Okay, I was just dealing with the stress of the new teachers. I've been to a few schools myself, and it's been handled very differently in different places. But there really is that need if the whole Maslow's sort of thing, you don't have electricity in your house and you don't know where the grocery store is, it's kind of hard to focus on the curriculum, that sort of thing. We're pretty fortunate where we are because most of the teachers come in early. But also, I do believe it's important that the new staff have a chance to sort of, not really vent, but sort of get to know each other outside of the pressure of holding their pride, in front of faculty. They can just go down to the pub or the grocery store or the coffee shop or something, just say, I'm really having a hard time with this. And then they sort of come together and realize it's not just me, because you get those cohorts of new teachers, oh yeah, we came in together, and they sort of generally bond over those initial stressors, I find.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very good point. Thank you. Yes, please.
So I was building on what the gentleman said. I think when the new teachers come in, we're very open with them that it's not going to be a smooth ride.
Mm-hmm.
There's both the sort of cultural connection. You get the dip. October time when the newness has gone off, the excitement has gone off, and there's that. But I think being open about it, but also creating an environment which is not to do with your professional practice. This is you as part of our organization, part of our community, and having that facility to be very open about difficulties they're having, things that are going well. We set it up as well on a monthly basis of who do they want to talk to, the new staff. Is it talking again with HR about things that they frustrations with? Is it talking about bringing somebody in from the health service to work with us? And so trying to meet those needs, but also empowering the staff, the new colleagues, to be very open about things that are going well, but also challenges they're facing. And also getting feedback from them. What can we do better? And I think that's a critical thing.
Absolutely. And in many ways, shapes and forms, from asking them personally. For us, it works also with a survey, because some really write so thoughtfully. It helps us a lot. Getting to know them personally, it really helps. Building the connections, relationships, as you rightly point out. Excellent point. Other thoughts, questions? Ashley?
I have a question so your orientation is very structured and purposeful. We have 5 days of in-service without the returning staff, and then when the returning staff comes in, there's this immediate vibe shift that we feel at our school, and sometimes it's a vibe shift that you can't control, and I don't know what schools have strategies to keep the enthusiasm and the excitement going for new staff, where it's not tainted by like residual complaints from like the previous year. And especially when a school is growing or something new has happened, you want to kind of build off that excitement, and then oftentimes people will come in and just like poop on it. And these are really good people and they're passionate, but sometimes
I mean, the fact that you are aware of it is so wonderful. If schools are aware of that and address it I'm sure there are several ways to address it, but celebrating the human side of all of us, celebrating the presence and appreciating people. I know I'm mindful, I just realized we are over time. Ashley, do you mind we chat afterwards? Can I wrap it up? If you have a question, you can stay, but not too long because I have a presentation in 10 minutes. So, thank you very much, everyone.